Holy cow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm so excited to have today. I love listening to that intro, but we're live on Women in the Stars, and we're going to discuss today the wounded masculine. So today we have with us Marvel Bliss, the home team, Reverend.
Hello.
What's up,
Hello.
y'all?
Hello.
Brad, he all over it today. You're not getting missed today, right now?
Nope, we on it today.
On it today. And then our special guests today, Terry Smith and Jonathan Bailey. Hey guys, open your mind.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So first, we're going to talk to Jonathan a bit about his own life story and his perspective of the wounded masculine and the divine masculine. And then we're going to do a meditation to talk about it all and to help heal it all, right? So we're going to do things first a little bit out of order that Jonathan, you don't know about, because Dab is out in these streets out there in Colorado. Is it Colorado?
You can say Colorado, Greeley, Denver. It's all relative.
I didn't want people to pinpoint your location. They might come and get you. I don't know if you owe somebody money or something. You know
Colorado's a big state, so it's gonna be hard to find me out here.
He might owe Java some money.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard for them to find me out here.
They can come for you.
You
so
know.
In your description of yourself, before we started it all, it says you're a Virgo, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
but you identify, what Marvel character did you say you identify as?
Spider-Man, man.
Strange, and then there was a little bit of Spider-Man, and I believe there was some Black Panther in there, because the cat thing, and yeah.
And you just told us to watch part 2 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Doctor Strange being there because you got the balance there. You're right at the cusp, though. So you're kind of in between. So you got a little bit of the balance, but then the Spider-Man definitely, because strategic and being able to be adaptable. That's straight up Virgos right there. They're very strategic.
So it's like Dab is in with the astrological weather.
Love it.
Man, these clouds follow me everywhere, so they're dialed in. The Federation's dialed in. Everybody's dialed in.
In tune. Love it.
So you agree with his personal assessment, Dab?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very very strategical, very planned. Things get done. Spider-Man, the things got done with Spider-Man. He always took care of business, and that I can see that in Jonathan there. So he's very very methodical on his movements, but his movements get done. Probably really good with his hands too, because Spider-Man was really good with his hands. Mm-hmm. So it's probably a natural mechanic.
Okay, ladies, you heard it here first. Jonathan is good with his hands. All right. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. I'm starting earlier and earlier in every episode.
Don't apologize for being yourself.
I usually start late, though. I usually start late. But I'm breaking it out early. I can't hold back. I didn't smoke. I don't smoke no weed, but I didn't even have a drink. So anyway, so Jonathan, overall, what would you say is, before we get started on your story, how would you describe the divine masculine, and how would you describe the wounded masculine?
So I would say the wounded masculine would lose kind of the concept of holding that will and that structure of being that protector for that feminine energy, that compassion, that protector for those other more compassionate aspects of self. So when you lose that balance, you can find yourself lost. And so in being going to the what's the word? The other masculine. Divine, thank you. You just feel more structured, more self aware, and feeling like there's nothing that can interfere with your passion, with your family, with your truth, you know, or your self-expression, you know.
I'm glad we started with the definition first, because now it kind of puts your story in perspective. I just wanted you to tell a little about yourself, like how you grew up, like what was it like, your preschool type environment, and give us a little bit like what was your household like? Because I think that gleans information to help us as we're viewing how we should be helping our kids, or as we're approaching people, adults in the workplace, in your love life, and friends and family around you, like just seeing how your life at home is what creates this imbalance at times, because we have to teach people how to be people. You know what I mean? Like, I like the idea of saying parental guidance, because we have kids and you can't just let them grow like weeds. You know, whenever they watch something or have an interaction with someone, we need to be here with them to explain, well, Susie did this, Johnny did that, but you're supposed to do this. And we're supposed to have these type things. But I feel like sometimes we are somewhat abandoned. It's not like to say our parents suck or bad, but I just let you, you know what I mean? Just because it's not saying that we should like hate our parents or anything like that, but we could just see how these certain aspects of our life literally do create this wounded masculine.
Yeah.
So
I'll say, coming into this life, I just I knew that the game was on. I came in birth, I was peeing in the doctor's face right at the womb. So I just, just saying the gloves were off, sort of thing. And so as I was coming in and going, start talking at a later age. So even though that I couldn't speak, I was able to get what I wanted from.
So you were nonverbal up until around 4, or?
Pardon?
You were nonverbal up to the age of like 4?
Yeah, about 3.5.
About 3.5?
Yeah.
So basically what I heard you just say is you kicked in on being manipulative pretty early because you didn't have to talk to get what you wanted, right?
Right. And there was some parts of, this is what you get at the same time.
Yeah.
And there was always a balance, because, I sure got my fair share of whoopings, right? So being an ADHD kid, flying around. So, and my brother and sister.
Misunderstood. Would you say that?
Yeah, misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Yes. And so, going into like preschool, which was, also I was only the black kid in this whole, I think it was like 35 in preschool, and going through my school years, maybe there was 6 or 7 black kids within those schooling as well. But, come back to my family were Jehovah's Witness. So, they were really closed off to the world, essentially. And way my parents were brought up, they were, more on my dad's side was to express any sort of truth or love or any compassion or empathy. It was a joke, right? So, when you try to express yourself, it was always just kind of made light of it, right? So it would take that power away from your truth, right? That expression.
So when you're saying, I know some people, like, if what I've seen growing up, maybe some of you all have too, that when you express a feeling like I'm mad, or so and so hurt me, instead of talking to you about your feelings versus that person's response,
Mm-hmm.
and being put in perspective, it was just made light of, or like with us, it was mocked. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll think of this later, but it's like a thing where you say like, oh, I'm hungry. Or no, here's a good one. Oh, I'm thirsty. Oh, you thirsty? Drink your spit. Like, instead of addressing the need of the child, it was like mocked instead. So can you see that? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it would be another
not as harsh, but yeah.
if you want it, say if you were thirsty and you wanted a certain beverage, and instead of getting, say water, they give you Diet Coke or Diet something, or you know what I mean? Like, and they'd be like, here, take that. And that's what you get, sort of thing.
Oh, so just throw something at you to shut you up, kind of thing.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And my brother is 11 and a half years older than me, and my sister's around 9. So, it was that little brother concept, as them using me as kind of like that little scapegoat, let's call it. So there was that concept in there as well, to play with. And at the same time, it was the two-way street, right? It was, you try to find that balance, and yet that was, majority playing up and getting them in trouble, right? And
so because we have Dab and Revan here, you guys are so close to the same age and all. Like, if you think of your childhood growing up, would you identify with any of what he's saying now?
Well, my childhood has been like weird, so, but I've been rejected by a lot of normal people. So I really don't, even like when I was at ESET, even being among Star Family, I'm still like hesitant going around new people, because I always talk about this stage of, when we all strangers. So with me, because I was like, right now, I'm not even trying to mess with no normal woman, because if they can't talk about the war, they not fighting the war, they not fucking Andor or something trying to fight the empire, I don't want to talk to you at all. So I've been rejected and mistreated by a lot of women, and a lot of my family been trying to control me, because I'm a rebel, Talk about the Black League. My whole life is a fucking rebel. I'm always a rebel. So hell yeah.
How about you, Dab? How was your upbringing?
Well, he's out incognito right now.
All right. Well, Jonathan, do you want to go a little bit further on your?
Yeah, I was gonna, like, there's a few more things in there. I mean, going into schooling and things like that, is that they tried to paint that that division or that limitation. I had a student counselor saying that, you're gonna be nothing when you grow up, sort of thing, and she used those words, and it was just so, shocking and traumatizing. So then that also then influenced me into that, like, that chaotic, wounded masculine rebel sort of thing. You know, and Jermaine was saying that, the families were painting him into a picture. And so being Jehovah's Witness, that's what, that's a large part of kind of what they do. If you're not following that structure of their household or that religion, that they can just cast you out if you say talk to a person or have a girlfriend or play a sport that is organized within the world. Then they can try to eliminate you from your family, right? And then you have your parents and your mom, brother, sister, whoever else is baptized can't speak to you, sort of thing. So there was a lot of that, them trying
Asian
to
thing, right? Like
pull us
it's
into doing the talks and that doing the speeches and all that. And that's fine. That's people's journey, but that wasn't mine. And I knew it to the core that I wasn't that wasn't me, and I wasn't ever comfortable within that space. And I would always detach and go exploring somewhere as I would create um uh cartoons or movies, and I would just basically go remote view things or whatever, like just explore, you know. Mhm.
So even within that strict structure, you found a way to get out of it and
Yeah.
be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mhm. Mhm.
and so that pretty much covers like what up to high school. I know like during high school there was that hard thing too of trying to be a normal student in high school, but you got like the Jehovah's Witness thing and you got to try to be more cool because
Yeah. So in high school, and I guess it was starting because high school started grade 9 for me. And so it was, for example, I was like going out in service out to the community, going door to door. It was terrifying because I did not want to come across one of my friends' place or anybody in the school's place, not long alone my friend, is like anybody. So it's just like just constantly creating this whole concept. I think I came across maybe 2 people's houses in the matter of like 2 years or 3 years since I was, in junior high going into high school. And so around 16 or so, that's when I I just ripped the band-aid off and I started playing sports. And so I started with soccer, that really kind of loosened things up. And they bent and let me play, and they said, you can wrap their head around it. And then the following year, I signed up for the football team and the hockey team, and I didn't say anything until there was after one of the games. I made a couple plays, and there was a big play or whatever, a big hit or something, and one of the fans was down at Sobeys, and my dad was there shopping. He's like, "That was some hit that your boy laid out." And my dad was like, "Huh? What are you talking about?" I was like, and he was like, "Yeah, it's, the football game that's over at Simon's." And it was just like, and he was like, "Oh, is that right?"
oh wow.
Yeah, and mean, and then after the game, I was home, and he was like, "Where were you?" I was like, and you just knew, like, I was trying to play it cool, had myself all kind of done up, looked like I didn't play anything, and walked in the door, and he knew exactly. And I was just like, "Oh, yep, I'm on the football team. Been on here for, since the beginning of the season, and I really, that's what I feel is right for me right now."
Mm.
And I appreciate what you've done and what you guys try to guide me through. But I mean, sports is a very, I needed that other concept of that team, that family that is beyond that religious structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going into high school, and at the same time, it was like finding that balance because I was going through the process of of dealing with my mom as well, because my mom was sick when I was 7, come back a bit, and so she had a degenerative disease from I was about 7, and until after high school, and so it was watching her slowly degrade, and not being in a space to be able to express that and how that made me feel, and not saying that anything was done right or wrong, but it was just my brother was moving out, and my sister was kind of on that same path, and my dad was extremely busy, and so my next sort of family and everything was with sports and friends at school. But at the same time, the friends that I was trying to impress, uh, this back in talking about like Puff Daddy and Mace and Snoop Dogg and uh, Dog Pound and things like that. You put on the persona of being this rapper or this gangster sort of thing, and then so I would start drinking at school and stuff, and go to football practice drunk. Did that twice, and I learned pretty strongly with that one. I went
So
up
I didn't
against.
ask you because that was going to be my question. Did you have any positive influences in your circle of friends? Because everyone's trying to look cool at this point.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I came across a group of 4 or 5 of us, and they were really, we're distant cousins. And so we just got one another, and we all kind of fit in just like a perfect glove, you know. So even though that we were, going into space, we held each other accountable. It was like, okay, that was a little too far. And they were also held space for me because they were probably the first ones that really observed like just my home life, right? Even though that I didn't know how to talk about it, they were just good at just being there for me whenever things went sideways, and that comes into girls and all that, drinking, partying, fighting, etc., right?
So Stephanie, Revan, anybody who's in the panel now, I guess we all know that at times we have these problems when we're at home, and you go to school and it's already the pressure of being at school, the pressure of trying to be accepted at a school, but then you know if no one hears you or really knows what's going on, like I remember screaming into my pillow, and I had my best friend, and she would literally like hear my mom say things, and it was like if I didn't have that, to blow off some steam or actually be able to let some of that out, I just couldn't imagine. I don't know if any of you all relate to any of that, you know, that did you have those kinds of friends? Like, it's so funny because it's almost like we're adults in high school. It's like we're these little adults, and we got our own little life going on and our own little society. But did you experience any of that like that, or were you
Yeah.
trapped? Because
So I had one friend where I could be my true self around, and she could be herself around me. I would be doing tarot cards for her. I would tell her about the spirits I saw. Granted, it would scare the heck out of her, but she still accepted me. And it kind of made us really, really close to the point where our connection and just our friendship, we became telepathic eventually. We could just literally think and not say or speak anything, and we were on the same link. And we've been together since 2 years old, so we've just been around each other's energy and know each other and familiar with each other. She has since passed. She's no longer here with me, although she is around still. But yeah, she was like the biggest witness to my life and my true being, and why I think I'm so comfortable now showing myself to people, and they either accept me for what it is, or not, but the pressure, I don't feel that pressure anymore. Like, I'm not looking for anybody's validation. I'm just going to be myself and stand in my experiences, and you either take it or you don't. I'm not here to prove it,
So Revan, I don't know, because it seemed like Revan, you were close to your brother, were you not? But even though he's older, but
Yeah,
have
I've
friends
been.
like your brother that you could be like, you know what, all this sucks. Like,
Yeah, it was just my brother that because he won't woke me up. So yeah, I was only close to him. When I was in school, I didn't make friends and I was a loner because when I went to lunch, I didn't want to sit by people. People wanted to sit by me. That's how it was. Like, come over here, sit by us, man. I just want to sit by myself, be by myself, and do my science in my head and philosophy and all that other shit that I was thinking by myself. I didn't want to be around nobody, you know. And
yeah,
when I didn't have much of a teenagehood, like going out there like as teenagers having wild sex and stuff. That wasn't me. I was like, because at 13, my ego was like damaged severely. This Dare woman, I think she said something to me, and I grew up in the hood, so I'm hard headed. I'm a rebel, and I said something talked back to her. Then she embarrassed me in front of the class, in front of my friends, in front of the girl. Like, she just humiliated me, and I was sitting there, had my head down, I'm tearing up. That was 13. So after that, I didn't give a fuck about humiliation. I didn't give a fuck about fitting in. I was me, and that's me. And I'm still kind of like that. I'm not a person that's like really go out there and make friends. Somehow I get used to you. I don't make friends easily because a lot of normies have mistreated me, and especially women normies mistreated me. And that's why I'm like very careful who I let my heart to. So talking about wounded masculine. But
well,
go ahead.
so Dab, did you have something to add? Because I saw you chimed in a little bit, but
Yeah. I mean, I was similar situation to Jermaine. I was a wild child when I was younger, so my ego was in full swing. And I think when we get older, a lot of our planets are aligned. A lot of us don't become actual adults until our 40s or
yeah,
late 30s. So I had a real dose of reality check in my latter years, because damn, I'm almost 40 now. In my latter years, that has me see a different side of the divine masculine, because it's a lot of people think when they hear that they think it's all testosterone and ego and everything else, but it's more than that. That's just a small aspect of it, but it's you find yourself. You really find yourself.
sorry guys.
But the lady Earl having
Have a little technical difficulties there.
Are we trying to get on the attack here?
Yeah. So that's and my younger brother was my kind of my equalizer, because when he passed for me, that kind of woke me up to the reality that is the reality. And it propelled me into the journey that I am on now, which hasn't ended, but this is just, it's, some people have wake up calls in their life, like how Jonathan had, and Jermaine and Marvel. And we either answer the call or we don't answer the call. But either way, there's not a wrong or right answer, because we are always on the same path. But those answering to the call, usually, if it's traumatic, it wakes somebody up immediately. And they might not be aware of that event happening because it happens so quick, but it's like an instant grow up for a lot of people.
I appreciate everyone's perspective. So what did happen was yesterday's little incident, but today's little incident, all the electricity went off and I got thrown off, right? and tried to get back on with the phone, could not. Tried to get back on with the computer, could not. That same 5003 error message came up and it said, you cannot, you are blocked from Zoom.
That was right now?
That all just happened just now. And then I got back on with the phone and then transferred, then had to shut the whole computer down, start over. So none of these things happened to me before I knew Jermaine, okay?
So true.
We've been blocked. I have tried to
Weird
send Jermaine
anomalies.
a PayPal before, and I gave it to tried to give it to Jermaine. I tried to
It
get
was
my son
CASHAPP.
to give it, or CASHAPP. And I tried to send it to Jermaine directly, send it to my son to send, and send it to a friend across town to send, and it would not go through. So
Wow.
Our times
bravo,
don't like
but we
you.
will not be stopped. So anyway,
Mhm.
so I'm glad, because I really want people to really understand like how important this is, because what I think is we get to be, people out trying to start relationships, but there's a lot of healing we need to do, right? But then sometimes we want to be in a relationship with this man, and that man does not necessarily have all that he needs to be able to be in a relationship to you. And so here we are, we can identify how this all starts, how men can get help for themselves, because no, women, you cannot go around fixing men. You should not be trying to build a bear. That's all I'm going to say. You cannot go trying to build a bear. I have a much more, build a nigga workshop is closed. Okay. We're not doing that no more. You say you like when Big Mama be blunt and I used to say, the build a nigga workshop is closed. We're not doing that no more. Okay. People got to build themselves. They got to build themselves. You cannot think that you're going to find somebody and because of their potential, they're going to change and be fixed. Because I think a lot of women or men, we see people and we're like, oh, they're smart. They got a degree. They make good money, but they got a shitty attitude, or they got like these big problems that they need to fix because you're still mad at your mama and your daddy because you didn't get enough attention growing up. And then you're not going to come and do that to me. So I think this is why this is so important. You have to identify people. They have to have the right tools when we're working on these relationships. And I think that's the biggest thing, like I like to talk about in my shows, is like relationships, even if it's friendships, because we don't want to have these one-sided friendships where people are constantly taking from you and you're constantly giving. And then you're wondering why you're so empty and unreplenished, because your emotional bank account is empty. No one's putting in a deposit, and you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of people that are takers and they're unhealed.
Yep.
So me and Jonathan had a conversation before. We were talking about the giving tree, and I asked Jonathan a solid question. I wasn't even expecting the answer he gave. I asked him, are you the giver or are you the taker? And what was your answer, Jonathan? When you grew up, this is when you were growing up, your young adulthood.
Right. So I was more of the, I think I've said I was the taker.
And I was shocked because most people won't admit that they are the taker.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, it was, and at the same time, not expressing myself and talking until a later age, I didn't say a lot. So it was a lot of that mind game. Sort of taking, you get them off balance, and it's like, oh yeah, taking that power, and then you're in that
right, because that person is always coming up. And I will say this too, because people in relationships, a lot of times when they're, oh, what's wrong? I wonder what's wrong. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? So now that it's like, because you're withholding, and that's another thing that parents do or people do in relationships, you can call it this silent treatment, but you can also call it withholding affection. Because they expect you to perform a certain way. And if you don't perform, then I withhold affection from you. So I can make you feel neglected and alone and hurt. And that keeps the person off balance. Like you said, you like to keep them off balance so that they're constantly trying to find a way to fix it and trying to find more to give and give and give and give. You understand that, y'all? You see that? It's a funny game, but withholding affection is actually psychological abuse. And if you're experiencing that, then you need to really think about the relationship you're in and back up. So you talked about the development of this, and then you go on to college.
Mm-hmm. So on another edition of that, it was like what I did would be taker, but I would shape shift into situations that was so far beyond my comfort or my truth. So in the whole concept, it would be off balance, right? And I would
Do you mean like committing to things you don't want to commit to, or like making promises that you know that you probably can't keep?
both.
Right.
Yeah.
See, because some people, I can tell you this, some people are super fucking nice people, right? And they overpromise.
Yeah.
Because they're used to it and they think this is what we're supposed to do, right? Because we're supposed to be nice. And, oh, if the girl likes me, or if the guy likes me, we're supposed to, I'm supposed to like them back. And it's like, or I'm supposed to offer them a commitment of a relationship that's one-on-one when you weren't really ready for that. And then sometimes people see us and they hear us, but they don't hear us when we tell them like, oh, I'm not really ready for a committed relationship, or I'm not ready to settle down, or I don't think I really want to be with just one girl or a guy. And they will try to pin you down and pin you into it, whether you want it or not. Mm-hmm. So how would you say that this applies to you? How did that work out?
I would try to control the situation. So if but at the same time, if I was trying to get with any girls or anything, I was pretty particular at the same time, is that I just didn't really go and do kind of everything. But it was when they were open to play that mind game, and find in whatever balance there was there, which was really not. I had a girlfriend at the time, and it was everything in that relationship. There was so much that was trying to pull us apart at the same time, and yet, again, I was trying to control that situation and kind of force it to happen, or to be, sort of thing. And at the same time, I would go out, drinking that night or the next night or whatever, and things, there might have been girls, there might not have been girls, but that was kind of like that whole mentality of creating that scenario, with the whole putting on those personas. And
one thing I think that's important, because it's like your high school life and college life is basically like public life. You might as well be like a celebrity, because you're surrounded by people, whether you want to be or not. They don't have to be your friends, but they're in your purview, versus when you get out of school and you have a job and you're like, your life is definitely scaled down with the people that you're around. Mm-hmm. So I know, like, oh my gosh, when you're in college and you're trying to date, that's like, everybody's looking for a way to put a wrench in whatever the hell you got going on. They ready to like spread some gossip, put a little stank on it. Everything they see, they want to interpret or misinterpret. So it's going to be like this whole level of pressure that's sabotaging when you're in a relationship, or even when sometimes that could be even with a group of friends, because sometimes people they have to be in this crowd all the time. Mm-hmm. And crowds and relationships, your mama and your relationship, y'all, when you're in a relationship, you need to separate a whole bunch of people out of your, out of your relationships. But I'll let you go ahead.
And so basically that first relationship was more, she was in a completely different high school, right? And this high school was like, 25 minutes away, sort of thing. And we didn't see each other a lot, and so it was very spotty, with in-person support, sort of thing, and hanging out. So that really was kind of like that, the crippling effect of the situation. And also her parents were racist. Well, not her parents, her grandfather and her dad was pretty racist. So that was another sign and another cue, right? And but you got that, and you guys like, well, screw it. We're gonna make that shit work no matter what. Then,
That's
right?
right. Romeo
Like,
and Juliet, this motherfucker.
so there was so much that was just like poking the stick, poking the bear, right? Like so I was like really going against that whole old systematically hierarchy of that race. So going into college, me and my ex, we broke up as I was in Quebec after my first year, I believe. Yes. And then that was the whole year that my mom passed in 2003. So that then escalated just the whole intensity of how I was holding on and not processing any of that trauma. And so, I was going harder and deeper into drinking, and I even at that time I started smoking some, and that's when I started to have some intense experiences with just paranormal and beings essentially, and just way certain synchronicities and things lined up and happened in Quebec to me. And so going back into that experience and seeing what that school and those environments created, didn't I was having sleep paralysis. I probably had about 3 or 4 of them in that year, and see shadows and things like that, and old man walking through my living room sort of thing. There was a lot of what's the word, complexities. I had my roommate, great guy, he's a Gemini, so he extremely hard-headed as well. And so he it was hard to process all the information that was happening, but at the same time it was a great authenticator, because we had similar experiences with our paranormal experiences. So I was able to give a balance of some sort, of knowing that there was much more. And I've always been in tune and interested in zodiac and all of that spirituality. And going back to just touch on the concept of death within the Jehovah's Witness, they believe that the souls just go to sleep. They pass and they just go to sleep, right? And then they awaken when it's when the new kingdom comes, right?
Oh yeah, like a holdover.
Right. And so going back, I've had a lot of aunts, I had a lot of uncles, all my grandparents, essentially, that I've experienced them passing from a young age. So, and just knowing that it was also not the way, or it didn't feel like that was the way to me. And
well, because you experienced all those death experiences, what did that make you feel about your own mortality? Like, did you feel like this was, personally, being raised under that pressure of being a Jehovah's Witness at first, and always that God is watching. And like, I always had all this guilt of God is watching. Then God is coming and the world is going to end. Like, so it was like this thing of live life fast because we're going to die. And it was always, I don't know, like other people say they didn't necessarily feel the way I did, but I just, all they made me think about was we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die. It makes you feel like, why bother to be great? We're all about to die anyway. Like, why bother going to college? We're all going to die anyway. Why bother to try to live if we're all about to die?
Right. And it was that, we had a lot of, there was a lot of fear that was within our ancestral line and our family as well. We were scared of absolutely everything, like bugs, spiders, this, that, like just so fearful. It was so, that was riddled within. And then also coming across death, it's like my parents and stuff didn't really talk about it. They just said exactly what, they just go to sleep, and then after the new world comes up and they come back, and we're back to they'll be back here again, and we'll be fine, and you'll see them again, sort of thing. And I'm like, well, why? So I just felt very uneasy and confused, because then it was like, okay, so if it was, our grandparents, they weren't Jehovah's Witness. The only ones that were Jehovah's Witness in our class, in our family, was, my parents, my sister, I had an aunt and a couple cousins and an uncle that were Jehovah's Witness. My mom and dad both had, 8 siblings each, sort of thing, right?
Wow.
So the family's huge, and they were all, Baptists and all the variations that they had in there. My grandfather was a deacon and things like that. And I had an uncle was also a deacon. And so it was just so confusing on how they just didn't all of a sudden go to sleep, but these ones did go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there was a lot of confusion.
Conflicting logic. Yeah, conflicting theologies.
Yeah. Even had a couple cousins that were, was 16. One had died from cancer, and then had another friend that was a childhood friend's cousin that he passed when he was like 7, sort of thing. I believe I was 12 around there when that happened, and it just didn't. It felt so empty, sort of thing, right? It just, so much of that, those souls were just kind of like bypassed, right?
Yeah, because in a way, it's like, how do you properly mourn them? How do you, like, where do I put them? Where do I put them all?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and here you are. It'll make you stuck with like these floating thoughts. Like, honestly, it's like floating dead people all around you, because you're like, well, where do we go? What do we do? What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
What is the answer?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think the perspective that we have now, it leaves us in a lot less pain.
Right.
Where then there's a lot of pain and pressure still on you, because you just don't know what the answer is.
Right.
Don't know where these people are going, and are they coming back, and you miss them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
So you have, I think you basically cover the pain points of the growing up part, and that, I guess I wanted you to reach the aspects of adulthood where you're supposed to be an adult. You're supposed to know what you want, and you're supposed to have it all together. No one's told you any damn thing. We're just like,
we're all just winging it. We're all just winging it right now.
Winging it. You're reaching around in the dark, thinking and it's so funny, because now that you're an adult, or you've reached a certain age and you've graduated from school, people are like, yeah, you're supposed to be fine now. You're supposed to be a functional human being. We've done it. Bravo. Mm-hmm. Look what we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like, graduating was one. It's like people I keep asking, okay, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? Okay, this lady, my student advisor, told me that I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. And the only thing that I for certain knew that I was drawn to was the psychology, but I was like, it's not, that's not, I go and read everything, like, that's not the right psychology. That's not what I feel that I want to do, right? And so I kind of put around and do multiple things, between security, cooking, working at sports stores, sort of thing like that. Uh, so as I was going into university, this is where kind of like the real concept of meeting Angela, was my ex-wife, best friend, sort of thing.
That sort of thing.
Definitely
She was your best friend and your
definitely definitely a thing. So in that there, it was, and that was a very important conjunction, as just previously before that, I was in somewhat of a mixed up, control powered, twin flame relationship. We were both in chaos. So and then Angela popped up, which more aligns to a soulmate, as we have many soulmates that come around to in our certain moments of our lives. And so there was a transition within that space, and then we were able to, I was able to then, swallow the pill, of my rage, of why I would snap into this whole different concept and persona, essentially, and that was so angry and frustrated. And just to put glimpses of that, I would go back into, I go back into my football games or hockey. I would be, everything would be good for 85% of the time, and then I would just go overboard, and there would be just anger and frustration. I would, 1 year in a hockey, I broke 16 goalie sticks, and that was partially on the net, but also on people, sort of thing, right?
How many games was there that season?
I believe there's only like 24, 25.
What the hell?
Yeah. My dad was like,
That's like 1/3 of the games is without breaking a stick. 2/3 of the games you was breaking sticks.
Yeah, my dad was like, what's going on with all these sticks? I'm like, oh, they keep on falling on them, Dad, I swear.
Oh, because he has to buy them. He had to pay for them?
Yeah. And so
you weren't taking those steroids, was you, John?
No.
You was just intense. Dang.
I was intense. I was almost, what's the word? It was like a certain part of a certain possession of that dark aspect of myself. That was, and that also runs a lot through the ancestral line. And that's what I've also come to find out of everybody having that trigger that would just lose their mind, right, sort of thing, and say and do beyond stupid shit.
You ever punched a hole in the wall?
Oh yeah, many. Yeah, blew up through a cell phone down the hall, that exploded. Punched a parking meter. That was a good one. That was, yeah, and that was drunk, but I mean, that was not the brightest, and that it won.
I'm gonna tell you one that I've always wanted to do. I want to get a big truck, and I wanted to put big bumpers on it so I could just knock the crap out of somebody. I used to be this person to be like, man, like I used to even think I wanted to get like some paintball guns. Like the next time somebody try to fuck with me, you know how people get on you in traffic and they want to follow you and blow the horn? Like, let me just do this, get a paintball gun and just knock your window. Now you can't see. I don't know why I would think of like extreme crazy things that I would want to do to people, but
see, I didn't think of that stuff. right?
It just would happen.
It would just be a switch,
Wow.
and I would go off. And so, I would project that, and that was a lot of stuff that would happen at, at clubs and things like that. We'd be just, sitting there, guy kind of, how the club be packed, and everybody's bumping to everybody, and they just slightly bump you, and you'd be like, you hit me for it, and then that would flip the switch, right? And so there was many times that things like that would happen, and between the four, five of us that were all going through challenges, it was like it would be the domino effect. So if it wasn't me, then be the other guy that would start it, and then it would be a whole on melee, like WWE type stuff, and it was just so chaotic, right? But yeah, coming back into being able to become more mindful of that, and we started we went to counseling, solo counseling, and we went to couples counseling, to really kind of begin processing the over amount of the grief, and or having some sort of just movement of the emotion and the energy of that person, that of people passing, right? And then finding out that I was ADHD not until I was 24, and had depression and had addictions, and then so it was able to grasp that. And there was, on the other side, there was things that Angela figured out and found out as well, and then we were able to come into the middle of when we would have these arguments, and that it was all happening at the wrong time. We were overtired, we were this, and how many people have arguments at somewhat late at night, or after a long day of work, or they're already, their body and their mind, they're tired, and they go have their drink. I just want to have this one glass of wine or this one beer and leave me alone, sort of thing, right? And then it'll spiral from that, right? And so I would say things, I would hit walls, but I would never
Was she ever afraid of you?
No.
So she was bad.
Yeah.
She was holding her own too, though.
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And not bad as in a bad person. I'm saying like she was a badass. Like, I'm like, dude, you got to get away from me. But you know what? When I was younger too, when we had these type of situations, those are things you're supposed to like get away from and get out of. And now, if I get around someone who's making me that angry, who's really pulling my trigger, I'm trying to get away from you because I don't like jail. That's my first thought. So I just like, I'm gonna leave you where you at, because I don't want to go to jail. Mm-hmm. I mean, you probably like your life, so you probably want to live. So me and you probably don't need to fuck with each other. That's how, I'm saying, like, I literally have gotten to, like, even when it comes to jealousy or something like that, if I see myself getting too revved up by a person, either that person enjoys making you jealous, or that person enjoys, triggering you. I was talking to someone else, Steve. You guys remember Steve? And Steve said that he used to like to do that to people on purpose, like push the button so that they can get triggered, because he felt like whatever it was that he was right in the situation. So nowadays I just let people have it. I'd rather just be bored or something, which I'm never bored, but I'd rather just be bored. I don't want to be having that much excitement in my life at this point, but
I mean, within that space, when we come across interactions with those soulmates or the twin flames, they're there to trigger your awareness to all the karmic patterns and those traumas and those limitations, and try to unravel the onion, right?
So when you were doing all this, so you did, evidently you did, you took a step back and you guys started counseling.
Yeah.
I totally get it, because
And so the anger and everything was starting to unpluck. I started to start grieving, right? I started I took ADHD meds for, I think it was about a year and a half, maybe a year, around there. And then it was like spotty when I needed to, for testing and for like exams and things like that. But you know, it was very, once the emotion and the flow of energy began and able to express, you know, able to see the patterns and things that were limitations, it became uh, a lot of the stuff that we would argue about or fight about. It was very, you know, silly, right? It was not. It wasn't really, you know, honoring one another's space or honoring the beliefs of one another or the trust sort of thing. The truth of the aspect, the truth of the matters, right? Um, and at the same time, you know, it was in that space I started to really become as you know, giving my power into to then to find the balance, but in doing so I kind of overextended my power, and I would go into like um what's the word, the shapeshifter. And so then it'd be hard to find, okay, what's, I know that's her truth, but it was kind of like it weaved into my truth automatically, right, sort of thing. So it was a really interesting path to experience, you know, my truth. And as we got married, you know, we were in this certain space and everything was great. We had the wedding. We got married in Costa Rica. In rainy season, you know, it was a sort of thing. It was raining before we got there, and then come 3 days previously, there was no rain. So it was just like, it was a perfect transition. You know, even had so it felt like it was like my mom was giving that gift of holding space, as we had a chair for her on the side during the service and everything. And then at the end of the wedding, we were walking down the beach, and you know, we found this rare, we love finding sea glass and things like that on the beach, just beach walking and connected with nature of it. And then we got up to the space, got ready to leave, and all of a sudden it just started to downpour. And it downpoured for like 3 days, because people were like, oh, we're gonna stay and enjoy this because the weather's still great, you know, this and that. And so they had to stay inside because it was literally pouring buckets. It's like it caught up to all the days that it didn't rain. It literally just all caught up in like 2 days. But yeah.
Do you feel like you were ready? Why did you get married in the first place? Why did you get married? I mean, not like, oh, not that you were in love, but why did you get married? Like, was it strictly because I'm just ready to make this step? Or do you feel like it was just intention of, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Like, we've been together this long and
Yeah, like we got engaged. Well, we got engaged when she was still in uh, nursing school, and so we were engaged for about 5 years.
oh
And then
wow.
she graduated. She didn't want to do it while she was in school, so then, and you know, I always kind of like, I didn't believe kind of in that, and then it was like I got into that space of, you know, overextending, and we were feeling that that's what we had to
This
do.
is what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
This is what we're supposed to do.
And so yeah, that's exactly how it kind of unfolded. But
and then I'm sure you had family members too. They're like, you and Angela have been together so long now. Oh my God, when are you gonna get married? Oh, you guys gonna have a baby? And then it's like, so then everybody outside is like, you know, giving you all this, like, okay, we're looking at each other like, I think we got to get married now.
Yeah. And that, yeah, it definitely was that. Like we lived in Winnipeg, so I had no immediate family in Winnipeg, so it was a lot of her family. So we were, so we were.
The shotguns was out.
Yeah. So yeah, we were. It was, her mom was always talking about that and grandbabies and all that, but that was the line. We were like, well, we definitely didn't feel like having children at all. So that was the staple. That even when I was young, I didn't feel that I wanted kids. So
let me ask you a question. This is a tricky question now. So I'm gonna let you know ahead of time, it's tricky. You are not you. You're Angela's friend or family member, and you're outside watching this relationship. What would you tell her to do? Like, would you have been like, hell no, girl, don't do it? Or, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, would you have been?
Well, no, because I would tell her to do it because there was so much evolution and so much growth that was happening. And, that connection was there. We just had, she was having things that she was going through that was part of her family things and her projection of her parents and that their growing up lifestyle at the same time. So there was so much that was evolving between us, and that it really presented it and connected very well.
Now, the only reason, I asked that because what I think of sometimes is we on the outside, when we see other people's relationships, we're like wanting to scream like, no, like we want to, especially I saw somebody say red flags, and I'm like, sometimes on the outside, we see what we see red flags, or we see what we wouldn't tolerate, or what we wouldn't do, or what I should have done, because it's always other people's expectations. And sometimes we want to go and fix people's relationships, or we want to change it or advise them on it. Is it really something people can advise you on? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I know I see some people and maybe they're inside an abusive relationship or some type of relationship, and people think they can come from the outside and be like, no, and they think they can get the person out of it. And I don't think you can. I think that person has to get to the point where they see it themselves or feel it when they get tired. Like my sister likes to have, she says this thing, if you had a dog sitting on a nail on the porch, right? And your logic says, why is he sitting on this nail? That he'll get up when he's tired. When they're tired of it, then, so otherwise we have to, like, if it's hurting us, we have to kind of like turn away or not get involved. I've had people who were in situations like if they had called me and said, oh, me and Jonathan were fighting again last night, I'll be like, you know what, bitch, do not keep calling me every day. Tell me, because I'm all mad at Jonathan. Right, but you going to bed, you and Jonathan gonna get butt wild tonight. So don't call me with all your problems with Jonathan. You know what I mean? I think people do that. They go, girl, you ain't gonna believe what he did to me. And they like take you through their drama, and then they expect you to be able to hang out and be like, I'm not coming to your house. If you got all that going on, I'm not coming to your house. And I'm not saying, I'm not picking on you, but I'm just saying, some people take us through this drama with them, and they got the nerve to be telling us all this stuff, and then wondering why our face is twisted. I actually have had friends, do not call me and talk to me about this girl one more time. Don't tell me, I don't want to hear nothing bad about this girl, because if you like her, I love her, okay? So don't tell me all the bad, like I have friends that call me with all the bad stuff, and that's what they want to tell you, and like junk me up, got me carrying 10 bags of garbage, and I'm all stressed out, worrying about them. But when people are in these situations, whether it's red flags or even on the full-on abuse, we on the outside have to find our comfort zone. And I got to maintain my comfort zone when it comes to you and your relationships and your friendships. So I just wanted to put that out there because it's something I talk about all the time.
Yeah, because it's so easy for outside influences to have the perspectives or us to overly express and project of the challenges within the relationships. But that was something that we never did. We've always, we had whatever the fight and we cooled off. And then the next day we would have a conversation about it or sort of thing. And it was a lot more civil. And this was also after going to counseling and things and catching on the cues and the clues of the triggers, and it was a lot of it was like, say, how much stuff I would not hear or ignore if I was playing Call of Duty or something like that. Sort of thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, and this is where there's so many things that would distract people, men within the relationships. How many men out there, we're playing video games, but we'll put off on having that conversation.
Would you say that's distraction or avoidance?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Well, it was intended. I mean, there's a part of an intention with all of this. There's there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games that one almost coming out every other day, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you got people who have like a library full of 100 games, sort of thing. Like.
I met a guy with like 100 pairs of shoes. When I saw his fucking closet, I was like, me and you cannot be in a relationship. I already know you got some shit going on. If you got 100 fucking pairs of shoes in your goddamn closet.
Right.
And then he had some more in I said, no.
Anything that's out of balance, right?
Those are just like signs to me, like, oh, this person.
Yeah.
He wears more hair products than I do. And I don't wear any.
Because that was already like an ego thing. Mm-hmm. For me, I could I can just see you just wear your ego right out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He couldn't. I come to your house and he was like, let me show you this. I've met two people like that. They just had to show me all their Nikes I'm like, what the? Oh. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to come see my shoes.
Yeah, come see my shoes.
Yeah. No, that's a thing.
That's a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Warning signs are there if you want to look. So anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else? Where were we?
So you were at the part of avoiding things by basically like hanging out playing video games. Mm-hmm. I'm here. I heard another story about someone who was telling me about their dad. Like the guy stays in the basement. My dad used to stay in the storage shed. Like he had a storage unit where he had all of his favorite things in there, including cold beer. My dad always had a cooler with liquor and some beer in it. So even at barbecues, they're like, where's Uncle? Because they're going to go find him. Because wherever he is, he's off to the side with a whole bunch of, a stockpile of everything you need to get stoned that day. So so he had that reputation. My dad would fall asleep in the storage shed.
Wow. Do you ever caught?
If he came home. Yeah, if he came home. Not that he didn't. Monday through Friday, he would come home, but on Friday night, good luck. I'm going to drop off this money and I'm going to hang out with my friends, or they're going to come hang out with me. I remember watching my dad one day cruising. It was like 6:00 in the morning and he was partly sleeping. And he cruised into the yard real slow and then parked and just slept in the car. So that's what I'm used to seeing, is that he's over there and we're in here. And then when he comes in, it's like, why is everybody so quiet? And you're like, because a stranger just came in the house, basically,
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's like, well, my dad, the thing he would do, he was ADD. He would do that. He'd be like, okay, what time's this at? He'd be working and working and working. He would say, call him at 2:00 and be like, I'll be done at around 4:30. And you know, be like, how many more customers you got? He's like, I only got about 5 more.
Cool. So
You know,
yeah.
a couple perms, you know, a straightener. So he worked by himself. So he would have literally like 4 or 5. He was very skilled. Like he would have 4 or 5 people going at the same time. But his timing of everything was completely off. So it was like he said 4:30. You always have to implement it to be like, okay, maybe that's 6 o'clock sort of thing.
I need to know, are the white people out here, are y'all late? Because we call this color people time. Because we are, but I don't think we own being late. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying.
I call it drug dealer time.
Oh, you want drug dealer time?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
Lord,
I don't know.
We
It
got
just depends.
beeper girls and color people time. So yeah.
Beeper girls.
I didn't want to say the other one. I didn't want to say it. I said the B word so much on Sunday. I'm repenting today. I'm gonna repent today, y'all. So yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was going on through the whole upbringing, and then him trying to balance and take care of my mom as well, sort of thing, right? And
your dad was around a lot of ladies, huh?
No, he was around a lot of ladies when he was in his band, his doo-wop group with his 4 brothers before he started dating my mom. So they had their fill of ladies.
But you're talking about he was doing hair.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
hair. Yes.
For women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also in another context. Yes.
I don't even want to say nothing. I'm gonna leave your dad alone because we're not gonna just
But he was a person. He's a person that like everybody knows him. Like uptown in St. John. St. John's a small. It's like I think there was. Oh God. It was like a few 100,000, maybe 400,000, somewhere around there. You know, and he was uptown, so that's where the highest one of the population of everything kind of came into conjunction in St. John. So, you know, all the black people in St. John, you know, there's probably 6 or 8 families, and it was like he knew them all. He did each one, like somebody's hair.
Somebody in your family done got their hair.
And then it was like there was cousins to his third cousin down the road, or cousins to my mom, because they're both from Nova Scotia. And so a lot of people from Nova Scotia will go to St. John and filter on. But yeah.
So you got some avoidance. He got some avoidance. You got some avoidance. Mm-hmm. You inherited some avoidance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so on my mom's side, you know, she was always busy. She was always kind of trying to keep things together, because it was like she had to keep dad in line. Yeah, right. Because he was the guy that had, you know, he'd be doing 10 projects, mm-hmm. and they all be still not done, sort of thing. Right.
We're gonna need the part 3 for Jonathan, y'all. Jonathan got a lot. So I wanted to get to, well, I think you pretty much covered a lot of it. So you've covered a lot of it, because we could go through like every day of your calendar. I love listening to you talk. What led to the healing part? Do you think it was?
So
it kind of started with Angela. Yeah. I don't know, where did Terry come in?
So
Terry also knew Angela?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, so
where
did the healing come in?
Yeah,
yeah,
I got together with them once we got together.
So
okay.
Once okay, so we'll go back to the last night of the wedding. There was this crazy thunder lightning storm that was just so, you know, so there is a lot of personnel talking, and you know, it shifted things. And so when we came out of that and we got back, and all of a sudden one of Angela's friends / co-workers that went to the same meditation school as Terry and that I'm going to now presented herself and just opened herself up and said, you guys should really check into coming out and, starting up at this meditation school. And so Angela came and told me about it. I was like, that is most certainly that. Yes, I didn't even have to think about it. It just leapt out of me. And I just knew that was the path to take. And so as we started, even in the first year, Terry was doing certain meditations for Alex, the instructor, or for the owner, the teacher. And so it was like I just felt it. There was something that it was like I know her, and it was so welcoming, and there was that such a divine feminine aspect to that connection. And I asked my guides, I was like, so should I engage now? And there was this like, just do your work and ride the wave, and things are going to come together, and you'll see how it all will just flow together. And in this few years, it's just to be able to see how things just really evolve as I was lessening, the distractions and the taking the densities or the traumas and pulling my energy back and everything like that. How you start to gain more perspective and able to connect with the people, because a lot of the people in meditation school are females as well. So and then there was a few meditations that Terry would come in and do, and they would just completely strike a different chord than the other ones from the other meditations. And fast forward a bit, there was a meditation. I think it was a sound bath, right? Sound concert that was happening. And at this time, we've talked a bit. She lined me up with creating a mala and stuff, like just intuitively, and it was dead on with my biorhythm, which is the biorhythm, which is the Taoist concept of your 5 elements that contain to you, and how your upbringing would transpire, and with how things you would consume and what would bring you into bliss and harmony, and then other things and dis-ease. If you're not, say, enough water, for example, you would go into fear and trauma. So she was accurate with that. And as we go back to the concert, as we were beginning the concert, she was guided to tell me that she was to present and to teach me a modality called axiotonal alignment. And axiotonal alignment, I read this book probably 2 years previously. It was the Reconnection by Dr. Eric Pearl, and everything that's what I knew. That's who I was a part of, and I've done it before, sort of thing. I read this book 4 times, and I read it lightning fast, and I'm not a fast reader at all. And so when she told me this, it was just like that meditation, that concert was just amazing. There were so many light beams and triggers, and everything was so perfect, blissful. And from there, it's just we just continue to evolve and have similar and dreams, meditations, information that all align to us in remembering
Now, did you decide at some point though, you and Angela decided to together, you both just decided that you guys were in the relationship?
So yeah, that was just last year around this time. Um, so we'll go.
You don't have to do the whole thing, but basically you guys came to a decision
I We came
to
to a
release
decision.
each other.
Right. We both reconnected with our twin flames, and our twin flames. I observed. I had awareness for a little while before of who her twin flame was, and then my twin flame appeared. So then it was like, okay, then it was really presenting, expanding into polygamy, and then just having that that awareness to let go, but to still honor our friendship. And we have a sound business together and things like that right now still.
So people maybe don't understand sometimes how you can mutually just decide, like, I don't know. Guess it depends on the other person. It's always the other person might not agree, but because there's these people who are like, people be to the day you die, and it's like this thing of ownership of people. Right. Like people want to have ownership of people, and you cannot have ownership of people. You actually have to allow people to change, and sometimes they change and make decisions that maybe you're not included.
Right.
Maybe
That's
you're
the
not.
ego.
This is not the best thing for me. Speak on it, Jermaine. If you.
Yeah. So the ego wants to control. That's why it's in fear, because it wants to know everything. And that's why people in uncertainty, they want to always, know what's going on. And when they don't know what's going on, they fear it. Like a lot of the plan that's going on right now. A lot of people don't know the plan. And so they don't understand that they have to be ignorant of the plan, because the dark side need to be ignorant of the plan. And if you got empty attachment and trauma, you are like, the trauma and the empty attachment are spines for the dark side. So that's what you need to understand. Ego is a path to narcissism. The best lover for a narcissist is a sex slave. So that's what you need to understand. So if his ego is being driven by the dark side of the force itself. So that's what you need to understand too.
I like, what that makes me think of that song by the Eurythmics. It says some of them want to use you, and some of them want to be used by you. Some of them want to abuse you, and some of them want to be abused by you. This is very much real, because users find takers and takers find users. That's how it works, until you get to the point where you're resolved to not be a user, and you're not going to be any longer attracted to a person who wants to be used, because you're going to look at them and be like, what is wrong with you? Get help for yourself. The same thing with a person who's an overgiver. Once you find the boundaries of your giving, and then if somebody's going to come to you and overstep those boundaries, you're going to reject all that. That's a sign that you're healing from this behavior. So we look at these people, and we're looking at people who are traumatized or in these trauma bonded relationships. We want to go in and fix it ourselves, but we have to mind our business and get out of the way, because when people get tired, they'll let it go. Would you feel that you and Angie were originally, would you feel like you kind of trauma bonded, or what was it that kept you guys together that long? I know, because you have the concept that there's a twin flame and you're supposed to go through this journey to heal each other. So what is connecting the twin flames? Is that really trauma bonding, or what? What's your perspective on that?
Well, twin flames is this idea. The idea of that is you're mirroring kind of like your karma, right? So you're looking for a way to find the balance of those patterns, right? And it's to observe and to then, accept, but to then, have that empathy and understanding and show that a compassion and of that other person's perspective, right? Even if it's not what you feel that, is your alignment, right? For yourself, your truth, right? Honoring their truth. And so there's so many times that, that we would, so over time now, we got to a point that we were just seeing the pattern and path of the way we were just growing apart, essentially, let's say. And the reason we were close, we began and everything, there was so much that we were able to hold space for, with the family concepts, that her family was very, they're very, what's the word? They were really trying to be a lot part of the situation of her life and things like that. And mine, we were a little bit more, detached from the emotional aspects and the cues and the structures and stuff like that. So it was like just being able to hold space, and then actually for me to feel like they brought me in, like that, her family, and made me have that, that feeling of being a part of that common family sort of thing, right?
Right.
So it was hard to, my upbringing was abnormal to that. So it was an interesting concept of that.
I understand it because I've dated a family before.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do, because it's like you're really dating a family, because you're like, wait a minute. You got the mom part that I need. Yeah. You got the cousin part that I need. You got the sister part that I need. And it's like, oh, wow. So breaking up with a person is like breaking up with a family.
It was that
in a way sometimes.
We still didn't share our everything to them. Like, and we didn't go there all the time, and they didn't show up all the time, sort of thing. It was
no.
But yeah.
So yeah, your part with her is going to be separate, but perfect. I'm dating your mama because I want your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dating your mama. I literally dated someone past the point of what I should have, because I liked having his mom and I liked having his sister. And me and your mom are talking about you. Me and your sister are talking about you because I'm dating his family. I've been in relationships where I've dated people's family.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of people's families will be nice to you, because they're like, please take my son. Please help him. Lord, she's a good woman, Lord. Help him. I see what and they want to stick them on you.
But there wasn't much of that. But
okay.
we traveled and did a lot of spiritual traveling, and we had very strong travel bond as well.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have considered your relationship a trauma bond?
No.
How do you describe a trauma bond? Because you're a professional, so I just feel like you should share it. And you're gonna use, you get to be the subject matter expert of the day. So
well, the trauma bond would be, this person is in need of some sort of empathy, and then you have people that would be able to, or you have the other be feeling that they have the solution to be able to comfort that, to subside that.
True.
And a lot of times people would use distractions or those other concepts. Let's go do this. We go do this instead, opposed to, holding space and listening to what is the issue, right? How they feel. How many words we don't ask how a person feels and how and what's going through their head and what their self-talk is like,
Right.
It's always
well, I just want to share a different, because I want to get all these things out here, and then we're going to do our meditation. But what I've seen is, like, say when we were in Job Corps, people had like a dysfunctional family relationship, And then the other person had like a dysfunctional family relationship. So now we're like, it's me against the world because the whole world has treated us bad. And so I saw people that they basically got together because they went through something similar, like I was molested, or I was abused and beaten. And it's like, yeah, they bonded in that way. So yes, it's very much different from what you were doing, because some people, they just think they're similar because they went through the similar things. Like I could say, okay, I abused drugs and I did this and I did that. And I could meet other people who had done it and think that we were the same because of it.
Right.
And we're not. And sometimes we're not. Or we think, and like you're saying, this person thinks they have the solution to fix this other person, and you're not the solution. But you stay because you're like, who else is going to take care of him but me? And who's going to love him the way that I do? And trust me, there's somebody else. You don't have to be the one to make yourself stay. Just because you feel that person is not going to be able to make it because you feel sorry for him in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think there's some of that goes on with people too, is that they think they're there to solve someone's problems. And if they don't do it, no one else will. And I used to literally hear my mom say that, like, who else was going to do that for him but me? And I was thinking, plenty of bitches would have. You know what I'm saying? My dad wasn't ugly and he was kind of buff. So I'm sure he could have found him about 10 other people. If you didn't really feel you were getting what you needed from him, you could have left. So I used to, yeah. Anyway, this is not my story today, but I have to give you another even more wounded male. Like he was definitely a wounded male, and she was like this really dominant woman who thought she was going to be in control and fix it. Kind of like what Jermaine said, it's that ego thing where she thought she could fix it and maintain it. And then here you go, you're 60 and you drain your whole life with a person, and then actually have the nerve to discuss how you resent them for it. Like, I could have done this and I could have done that, And so later down the line, you hear that kind of talk too sometimes. But like, I gave up my life for you. But your story is so different because you guys actually went through the healing journey together and decided to shake hands on it.
Yeah, and it was just there were so many synchronicities and that aligned with how we felt, and when we were talking and connecting with the twins and not in ourselves, that it just couldn't, you could not deny it, sort of thing. That was the right path to go, right? And there's so many times that signs and things that come up in the red flags, you call it, or etc., or just the cues to be aware in that sense, to get, when you get to a certain level or a certain ceiling, and it's time to make that shift, and in this society, unfortunately, that's the whole concept. Well, it's part of the concept of the marriage is the words that they use, the spells that they cast is death do you part, and etc., and then all of the hoops and labels that you got to go through to do the divorce papers and all this. And if people are not balanced in the first place, or they haven't become aware of who they are, then it's usually pretty chaos, because now you got to divide with the money aspect and the house and the kids and the cottage and living who gets the kids.
Yeah, you got to divide up your corporation. You got to dissolve your corporation. Yeah. And
how much trauma and how much inexperience of do people have in that situation, right? Because it's also, then you have the outside world that are projecting in and have that concept of this is how you should do this, and then you have that pressure that's kind of added in there, and that takes that may add in on your how you express and what you feel is right, and maybe you were deciding to do something different, and then they shifted you to go somewhere else, but that initial thing might have been your gut feeling. That was your truth, right? And so, yeah, it's a very interesting path, and it's you know, it's not an easy path. It's a challenging one, but you know, but feeling the empowerment to be in that truth of making that decision, right?
I think one thing, once somebody experiences a divorce, you will be gun shy about ever getting married again if you ever even think to try to do that again, because that process is extremely painful. And the government being involved makes it extra. You know what I mean? Like it puts the nails in the coffin. So I say once you get that baby out of the way and then you get that marriage out of the way, after that, you like, look, let's just be real nice to each other. We don't have to get married. We can just love each other. You know, you can even keep your same house and I keep my same house and we can just love each other from here, you know? Just saying, I'm not saying that's what people should do, but I'm just saying, like, please understand when you meet somebody who's already been divorced and they experience, especially even if they experience their child being able to see their child being taken away from them and stuff, like you have a whole different fear of jumping in to commitments because of that. Archer said he understands. He just was looking and he was like, and he walked on off like, tell him. No, so you guys have gotten yourself to the part where now you can all be friends, right? Because you're not dating her any longer. You're actually back to square one in a way, right? Like in a
Upgrade,
way.
2.1.
2.1?
Like, yeah, because you're
not with the person you previously were with before. Oh, so but it's not 2.0, it's 2.1. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I'm so glad you got yourself cleaned off and dusted off now. You're even better than before. You
You're
super babe now. You're a super babe. All together. So Terry, I would like for you first to chime in with how much you've seen him change and grow, and then we're going to talk about this meditation.
Well, yeah, from when I just first got to know Jonathan, he was on the beginning part of his journey. I mean, he obviously was, he'd already started it. So it was his blossoming and his understanding and his foresight and his connection with the source energy and how he was able to interpret things and how he was able to express it. And I suppose that's we started to like our vibrations, we just started to jive. It just was an easy way for us to just connect with each other. And his way of thinking was along my ways of thinking. And when you don't have to explain yourself to someone, that's really cool. Like you just, where someone is. And we started to communicate and say, oh, I had this thought. And it was like, oh, exactly. And then, so when I offered to teach him the class, it was because I had the guidance to say that, you're really connecting with Jonathan. And so as I started to teach him this, it was just like, he just got it, bing, bang, boom, like it was just so easy to teach him the axiotonal alignment. And when I would explain, well, this is the information that I got, he would totally get it. So we were always been on the same page. And so I mean, it was getting to know him through the meditation classes and the extracurricular classes that we did, but then it was the friendship that we developed. And with Angie, we would get together and we have our Tuesday Terry Tuesdays, and we would just like sit and discuss things, and we watch movies and discuss them, and so it was always a little text here or there, and so it just sort of became,
evolve.
and I think after COVID too, we had a real bonding, in my case, after my husband passed away, I felt I was like alone, and Jonathan and Angie adopted me. I felt like I was their kid, but it was because I was on a different path, and so I think that just sort of propelled us into a bond, and so even though Jonathan and I have the bond, I still have a bond with Angela as well. And so I still see her. She's still a friend, and it's not like that it was a loss to see for them to part, but it didn't. The relationships are still intact.
It's interesting too, because Robert Earl gave us a shout out, and he was talking about the pain of a divorce, how somebody can just throw it away. In your situation, it's different. But then I was also saying how my whole family went through my divorce. They were traumatized because what was stringing in the balance for us was the custody of a child. And here you got a person who ain't thinking about no healing path, okay? Because I encourage counseling, because I went to counseling on my own, and I will tell you why. Because I saw myself lift up a chair, and I'm about to hit someone with a chair, and I was like, I want to hit someone with a chair. I got a problem. I literally put my hands on his throat one day, and I was like, I have a problem. Besides that, I already had this anxiety when I was driving, and I'm like, so I was noticing all these different things that I was going through. And I was like, we should go to counseling. And he said, for what? And I was like, because I almost killed you. Do you not understand you're being abused? Like, so I'm looking at a person and I'm like, I don't want to be abusive. But this is a person who doesn't even, you don't see a problem, and here you go, you threw a plate of, the day I decided, I went ahead and got my help. That person, I saw a plate of food go flying on the wall and sliding down. And I was like, I'm not doing this with my son.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to let my son stay in the house with all these things happening. And I was like a runaway, though. I waited till he was at work, and I just packed up all my shit and I left. He came on, he's like, all right, big joke, haha. But this wasn't like a just run away. It did take me time to tell him, like, hey, I want to leave. We should break up. So it was lucky, because Angela, on your part, was participating. This person was in la la land, acting like I kept saying things I wanted to change. If you don't change this, if we don't get this fixed. But then this person just was like counting on the fact that people don't leave. But you don't know me like that. I'm leaving. If I say I'm leaving, I'm leaving. So I wanted these things, didn't get these things, no change. Plate hits the wall, and I was already like looking, sweeping the floor. He was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, yeah, you're always sorry. And I'm looking around like, how can all this stuff fit inside my station wagon? I'm sitting here looking around, So I tried to negotiate myself out, but I could not. You were fortunate. You could. Terry was there to love up on both of y'all and lead y'all through some meditations and get y'all even more on your healing path. And then, did it hurt your heart to see them break up? Like, did it hurt you? Like,
well, of course it did. You care for both sides.
Yeah. And that's just from a newly found friend. So Jonathan, was your parents like, what the hell are you doing, son? Get your life together. Or your dad, because your mom had passed.
My dad was quite shocked, but and my brother, everybody was, because they always saw us as, we always had great company, and we got together, we got along so well and everything like that. They were shocked, but they were very impressed that, we're in that best friend placement of where we're at right now in our relationship, right? So, but at the same time, they're grieving. And it's whenever we do something that and we have connections to family and friends, they have to have some sort of a grieving as well. I mean, you gotta understand, it's like when we're in our awakened spiritual journey, our vibration is always shifting and changing and evolving. And so, you look at a lot of the times in marriages and stuff, you have the females will naturally always start to do their inner work, and the vibration changes, and then that's where there's like, okay, they're trying to move up, and there's that anchor, right? That sometimes they just want to keep you dense, and they try to tear down the walls, like you were saying, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, my family were very shocked, but they respecting. There was a couple family members that uh didn't agree with the whole situation and said it was too soon, but
You hadn't suffered long enough, son. Get back in there and
that's
suffer.
and that's a whole nother thing.
That's the way.
Yeah.
People think that they're supposed to be together and torture each other for 60 years and fuck up a set of kids along with it. I was like, I remember like, anyway, I used to write my second grade. I tried to hook my mom up with this man named Mr. Ferguson. I'm telling you, I was like, Mom, Mr. Ferguson's real cute. He's real nice. I used to try to hook him up. I was trying to ease some of my suffering, like, Mom, but even when I was in college, I wrote her a letter and I said, hey, I'm gone. You can leave now. I really did.
Wow.
So if anybody is in that type of situation, please do understand you're torturing your kids, because your kids learn how to be in a relationship and date and love and how to be married by watching what you do. So if you're getting knocked upside the head, they think it's normal to either knock someone upside the head or to be knocked upside the head. So whatever it is that they're watching, they think, oh, it's normal to call somebody out of their name or withhold affection or do these things. And, hey, but I'm going to give a shout out to the people that have been listening. And I thank you so much, because what it is Jonathan, could probably give us 3 more hours, but we're not going to do that today. We're not going to pull a Jermaine. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do a marathon. So, but and even with myself, they said, oh, thank you. And I have to say this, you have freedom when you can talk about your own shit. That gives you freedom, because what locks you up and makes you trapped in your life is when you can't admit these things to yourself. When you can't admit that you're selfish, or when you can't admit that you have a problem, when you can't admit that your life isn't perfect. And that the trap that people have built for themselves is to pretend like they got this perfect world going on. And if anybody finds out, then they're not going to think I'm as cool or as perfect as I am. Nobody's perfect. And, people can live in fancy houses and drive these nice cars. And you see it all the time, because they have these social media couples and they're so beautiful and they got 8 kids. And when they get off that fucking camera, they can't stand each other. Okay. And they're abusing each other and mistreating each other. And they're just putting it on so they can get money off of YouTube or something. Or they got this book coming out and they need to sell these books. And so they're out here just pretending, but don't fall for it. Their lives are as real and dirty as yours. So, let's just stop with all that. But the freedom comes from when you're able to talk about your own stuff and you're not worried that a bone's going to fall out your closet. And that freedom leads you to healing, because the sooner you can admit your flaws and get around your ego, the sooner you can get better and start fixing things, to the level of your highest good. So I'm gonna go down the chat. You guys been chatting in the box over there, Marvel? Anybody special you want to shout out? You got this.
I haven't really been paying attention, but hello everybody.
Story, right?
Yeah, I was listening because I could definitely relate with a lot of what Jonathan and Terry were talking about, and you, of course, Erica, you too, brought up some major things that I could definitely see myself in a lot of those situations, even currently now, with a child involved. So it's very helpful. I'm really enjoying and taking it all in right now. And just thank y'all for being here and sharing.
We passed Oprah status, y'all. We just passed Oprah status. That conversation we just had was so freaking real.
Right.
And necessary too.
It's needed. It's needed. Very much so.
Yeah, we got a talk show for the Orion Black League.
Yeah.
How about your problem? Get on my couch, boo. Come on, sit on my couch. So
we family, we protect each other.
Lisbeth, Sam, 76, Angela, Distant Son, Monica. We got to have you come on here and talk about your band, girl. You're awesome. Andromedan, Tara Langer. Thank you for subscribing. Linda, they blocked you because you had a little cuss word. I had to let it hit the button on you to let you be able to say what you want to say. But Terry, Priest, you know what? Because Terry and Disco, I don't even know if they knew we had a live today at 2, but I just thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you.
I think we need to be, give you guys more warning. I'm so sorry. Michelle Stone, she's rocking with us today. Lyndall, I hope you're almost done with your presentation. Liba, we love you. And I think, Liba, I gave you my number because we need to talk about some serious business here. Sam, this Galactic Star. Who's Galactic Star, y'all? Robert Earl.
Not sure.
Okay. Well, reach out to us, Galactic Star, so we know who you are. We want to be able to give you a real shout out. Robert Earl, Celestial, of course, because she loves us and we love her. Upper echelon giving. Let me see who else. Oh yeah, my sister's out there. Hey, sister. Faith, Helene, and yeah, my sister is Kiki, y'all. This chat is long. Folks been talking. Soldier's Voice. She showed up.
Oh, hey,
to you, girl. Can't wait to see you guys on the 21st, if not sooner. How many days we got?
17.
17. Oh my God, we got 17 days.
That number's been showing up so much.
The other day with Galactic Chicks, we had 17 people on the chat with Danny Henderson. Jermaine, let me ask you a question. Are we gonna have another movie night tonight?
Yes.
I wanted to do Contact, but tonight Jermaine's gonna do, what's it called? The Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue One. That's about us, the Black League, the Orion Black League.
All
and
right.
the series Andor.
Y'all missed it last night. We were up till 2. When did that movie end? 2, 3 o'clock?
I fell asleep.
Jupiter Ascending. Yeah, you fell asleep on a film for us.
That movie was so good.
I think I got offline and here it was like 3:45.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because you're an hour ahead, Atlantic time. So The Host, if you haven't seen the 2013 The Host, that movie was so good. And I'm in the chat like, kick her butt. I'm like, person kicking the face. I wanted to just kick her butt so bad. It was like, ooh, that was some good drama, y'all. Some good drama.
What time is the movie starting tonight?
What time?
Since we got members on the other side of the world, we got to pick a right time. I guess we can start as soon as we end this.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
You gotta understand.
Good. That means we can watch. That means we can watch Contact at 11 because me and Jonathan already agreed we wanted to watch Contact at 11.
So maybe we do 2 in a day.
Or wait a minute. Or what was the movie you wanted to watch? Black Panther 2 or Black Panther?
Well,
I said Rogue One.
No. Jonathan wanted another movie too.
Okay.
Well, I was just giving the little sample of Black Panther 2 that it's coming soon, but it's not out yet.
So what Jonathan don't want to say out loud is if you can hook it on, you can hook it on.
Oh, you want to watch Black Panther?
And Erica hasn't watched Black Panther yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched part 1 yet.
Part 1.
I'm not racist. I
Well,
just
I was
didn't
trying
watch.
to
I just didn't
watch
watch it.
Jupiter ascending, and I still haven't seen it because I ended up falling asleep. I was so upset. I woke up this morning. I was like, "Damn it! I fell asleep during
Wah,
it."
wah.
You
I only
know what
watched
be
part of it.
you know what'd be pretty cool is that, maybe, oh yeah, we have the people on the other side of the planet. We do for a week, we do like a rotation of like of 4 movies and do them at different times in the day.
We've started our own network channel. If you don't know, you don't know. What goes on in the consciousness war stays in the consciousness war. So we got our own channel. If you're down with the posse, you can roll with us and we can have movie night. If you're just a random,
It's a
we're not
movie
gonna
theater
tell you.
in the Conscious War Starship.
Yeah, we got
a movie theater.
I counted 17 rooms, but I know there's some secret doorways and hallways in the consciousness ward that you can't go in. Certain people have. We even got a courtroom up in there. We got a court of appeals up in there. Y'all don't even know nothing about that. Okay, you got a courtroom up in there. So if you got any grievances and y'all need to work it out, we can take that to the Court of Appeals. Just let us know. We can help you sort it out. All right. Okay. So it's rooms up in there. I know there's more than 17 rooms. I know it's more than 17 rooms. So find comfortable playground. You can go do some comedy or some poetry.
Invited, Soldier. She said she missed the Jupiter Ascending. She was invited to that.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl, you better turn them alerts on. I know you got a man, but best stay with it. You probably all do it all booed up. You was probably all booed up and you missed the movie night, girl. We might have to start buying popcorn just for this. I mean,
yeah.
But we're gonna discuss the plan on how to
PJs.
get the network together because I think we need to be, we gotta have a couple of viewings. Can't just watch the movie once. We got to give everybody a chance. Then we might bust out and do some movie reviews, because we have to open it up for a Q&A afterwards to make sure everybody understood what was going on.
Right. I like that idea.
Yes, Q&A after the movie. We had a great Q&A last night. I wish we had hit the record button.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. So I'm going to tell people, get your water and your crystals, and if you want to, get your candle. Or you can come back another time, but what do we need? Because I like doing the water for this meditation.
Yeah, have your water, crystal.
Got any of those.
Ooh!
I got to go to the bathroom.
You and me both.
Well, it's just me here now. Everybody's gone. So we're going to
Bathroom, then we go.
We're going to do meditation, and it's going to be on the sacred masculine. And so if you need to take a break, get your crystal, get your water. I'm going to go light a candle, and we'll be right back in a minute.
This is going to be really special, you guys. You don't even know what they're about to do. It's going to be really, really special. What's going on with your computer, baby?
Okay, put it right here.
Okay. Got my crystals.
Your crystals.
Yes.
Oh.
see what's what.
You know, it's cool. It's like everybody can go to the bathroom and get a break. So they can put their phone down. They can walk away from the laptop and make it all the way to the bathroom. Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Y'all, I don't know. Should we turn the lights down? I'm gonna turn the light down. Get nice and comfortable. Okay, we're gonna let you two have it.
Okay. So this meditation is about the divine masculine. And we're going to do a little bit of a gentle healing, or gentle awareness. So if you just want to grab your crystal and just with your intention, be open to whatever healing is appropriate for you. And you can just move it in your hand and just set that intention with the crystal or your glass of water. You can close your eyes. Just let the flow, the soft sounds of the chimes just bring you to a center of your being. You can tap at the center of your heart. Bring your awareness to your heart center. This is the center of your being. And just be aware of your breath. And just as you're breathing, breathe through that heart space. And so now you're going to just invite you to see, sense, or imagine two discs, one on your left side and one on your right side. The one on your left is a silver disc. And this is that part of you that is that represents the feminine aspect, the divine feminine, the receptive, the magnetic part. And on your right side is a golden disc, beautiful gold. And this gold represents the masculine, the divine masculine. And when we think of the divine masculine, there are certain words and phrases that we can think about that are representative of the divine masculine. So when you think about your inner child,
Holding your truth, who you are, and who you were and always will be.
and you think about your inner wisdom,
The light that makes you feel whole, in balance.
and bravery,
Be able to endure through the chaos.
and will,
To be firm in your awareness of what feels that is the truth to you.
integrity,
Owning all actions.
virtue,
Embracing your morale throughout your life.
and self-empowerment.
Feeling the wisdom to express throughout your life.
And so taking these aspects of the divine masculine and anything that you wish to add to it, surrounded by this beautiful golden light, this beautiful golden orb or disc, however you envision it. We're going to bring the divine feminine and the divine masculine together, and they're going to overlap. The two circles, the two spheres overlap. And in the center, there's the Vesica Pisces, that oval form that looks like an eye. And in that, the two colors coming together are a form of platinum color. And envision yourself in the center of this Vesica Pisces. 1 foot grounded in the divine feminine and 1 foot grounded in the divine masculine. And invite these two energies, the divine masculine, to come within you. And any healing, open yourself up to any healing, any release that is appropriate as this platinum light that enjoins these two discs runs through you. Feel this platinum moving through you, through your core, healing any aspects that may be out of balance. allowing the energy to swirl around you and bringing it up through your feet, bringing it up through the root chakra, through the sacral chakra, through the solar plexus, through the heart and the throat, through the third eye, and out through your crown, and then flowing around you. And again, bringing that energy up through the feet, through the center core, and out through the top of your head. Just allow this energy to flow through you like a fountain. And with each flow, it's awakening those divine aspects that may have been dormant. Releasing any energies that are no longer appropriate for you. Bringing the balance within you. And now, just within this platinum bubble that you've created, just feel your strength and your balance. And know that anytime you wish to come to this spot, it's just a simple envisioning of being in this place, remembering. You've now created that neural pathway. And so now this place becomes a place of your inner peace, your inner balance. And now when you're ready, we're going to start to bring our awareness back into this time space, allowing these energies to settle within you. You may feel a slight twirling or buzzing in your head, allowing that to settle. You're just going to play the chimes a little bit. And when you're ready, you can come back into your body, coming back into your space. And opening your eyes, taking a deep breath when you're ready.
Well, thank you so much. That was very beautiful. Much needed. I know everybody in here is sending their thanks to you as well.
You're welcome.
Always speechless afterwards. That was amazing.
Good.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. So we'll let them, I don't know, Stephanie, if you could do the comments.
Yeah, let's see here. Hold on just a moment. Let me see. So just everybody sends their thanks to you. Liba, Distant Sun Rising, Sam 76, Tara, Dab says amazing. Vivian, thank you. This was so beautiful. Lisbeth sends purple heart to you. Faith says thank you. Lyndall, you made my kundalini rise like hell.
Figured so.
Liba says she's feeling calm and better. Terry Priest says tingles. Dawn says, I'm so glad I made it for this. Celestial, beautiful, so peaceful and relaxing. Thank you, Terry. Dawn says, I was dizzy for a bit, but feel better now. Vivian, love you all. Dear humans, love and greetings from Holland. And Distant Sun Rising says, soldiers, we should meditate on the mothership.
Agreed.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Any closing words?
In this time, I mean, everybody just feel your truth and express yourselves. And even if the situation, you know, if you're in a spot, just express to whoever that is, a partner, a friend, family member, and to just honor your power, you know, and don't give it away. Just be in balance with how you engage, and just simply try to be, right? Observe, you know, maybe see from that other perspective, right? And yes, we must do this more in our conscious or mothership, for sure.
Yes.
I agree with that one. I appreciate everybody, you know, being here
Thank
and
you.
listening, and for Conscious Ward, Jermaine, Erica, Bliss, Dab, Terry. I'm so grateful for you guys holding space for me. And actually, the other day you were talking about Marval about going online and expressing and sharing, and how you were nervous and excited, but you know, nervous to give your energy in that space. You know, I was the same, right? So I think in the first 10 minutes, I felt like a deer in the headlights for a second. So I was like,
Yeah.
calm down.
When I
a
first
bit.
started doing it, I mean, my whole shirt, my pants, everything was soaking wet from sweating so bad. It was...
I could feel my heartbeat everywhere.
But with the more time, you get more comfortable and relaxed, and you realize like it's all in your head. Like it's projection.
Yeah.
People aren't looking at you, they're listening to what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, they're so holding on, holding on.
And we thank them, right? They give us that grounding.
Well, we will see you guys in just a little bit for movie night. We starting with Rogue One, and then somewhere in there we're gonna throw some Black Panther, and then possibly some Contact. So You guys get your tickets to the movie. Get your tickets.
Get your popcorn.
Make sure you make it to the theaters in time.
And I gotta go to another movie night first.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll catch you when you come back.
I will join in. Yeah.
And maybe you suggest Rogue One.
Oh, maybe I do. Yeah.
And maybe you can flip open the laptop or something and make somebody watch what you watch.
Okay. When are you starting Rogue One? Well, I'm not going over there. We won't start before 6 our time. So
I
that's
think
7.
it's 11, right? Didn't y'all say 11?
No. He said now.
No,
So
I
it's,
said right after this
it's
because Labor is in London with Elena, so it's already nighttime
Oh, yeah.
over there. If you want to have
Okay.
everybody in, you know, because we got other people inside the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
so it's 10 minutes till 5 now. So we'll say what, 5:10?
Okay,
We'll be ready
5:10.
by 5:10. And it's for him, for Jonathan, it'll be 6:10. For Terry, it'll be 4:10.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to pass on Rogue One today, but
Okay.
I'll catch you later on.
All right. Well, we're closing our mics and we're gonna do our little outro, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Y'all take care.
That was great.